Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another day with Delenn. We are back from, we are back from Ireland, and disorganized as always. But you know, that's how it goes. You're in a world with Delenn, and you're going to be disorganized. So, I did a little bit of work on the server while we were away, and good to see you too, Fantastic Sherlock Fox. So I did a little bit of work on the server while we were away, so we have a little bit to show off and a little bit to do. I'm going to have to ask the Fox if he's available to see if he can change up the title and such, because it just occurred to me I didn't do that. I had this really weird feeling I was going to miss something today, and I did, so yeah. We're standing out here looking at walls. The plan for today is to do a bit more of the wall stuff, maybe get a gate going, because we are almost connected back to the start. So, I'm hoping the map is wrong, and it's just not updating. Because where we left off was down in this corner, and I did all of this, and back up the side. So we're going to have to fly down and find out what on earth is going on. I'm hoping it's just a map glitch, but you never know. So let's see, how far down do I have to go? That would be kind of annoying if it isn't correct. Aha, we have wall. Okay, that's good news. All right. Let's take a quick land here, just make sure it actually shows up here. Okay, good. So you can see that we've done quite a bit of wall work. Now, we're still not finished because this wall is actually supposed to be 4 blocks higher, which has like a ledge and fences and whatever. And I have to do the little bits where people get to go up onto the wall. But I'm leaving that for a little bit more later. And I'm just trying to finish off closing the line to our castle. So that's what we're all about today. Now, where are we here? There we go. So now that we've got some of this done, I've been trying to cut through part of the hill here to figure out what I can do to level it. I'm going to need a lot of blocks for other things. So in the meantime, the red's kind of breaking through this way, because that's sort of our main path that I needed to have cut down so that I could get to the gate. There's a lot of terraforming to do, so there's a bit of walls and terraforming is really the goal for today. But I'll show you really quickly why we're doing it this way. So I've got this weird little pattern going, sort of, which I may have goofed over here. Nope, I just hidden. Okay. But there is in the sketch map that I have, it's not worth bringing up at the moment, but the sketch map I have has a little town off to the west of Shrewsbury called Frankwell. Hello. So we got lucky. Hello, Benson. Welcome back. Good to see you too. I missed you guys. It felt a bit weird not streaming while I was in Ireland, even though Fox said I probably could go, but give it a go. I really didn't want to. Just needed, a bit of a break. But yeah, so we're gonna, if I get a little too rattled, because for some reason I'm not on game today, then we'll take a break, and instead of working on the fence and the wall and stuff, then we will just start chopping our way through up to this village that I did not add, but got generated, and that is going to be our Frankwell. How convenient. So really all I need to do is connect the end of the road here, and just chop our way through the trees, and path it to connect up to this spot here. And that's kind of all she wrote. Now, I mean, there's a little bit of gray in here, which I'm assuming is probably a cave of some sort, so we're going to need to fill a bit of that. But that's, yeah, that's one of the choppity chop projects. But because I've got, oops, too many windows. There we go. My keyboard doesn't want to light for me today. I will troubleshoot that afterwards, but it just means that sometimes I'm a little more apt to press the wrong button than usual. Hey, Poodle Pirate! Ooh. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for dropping by. I do appreciate it. Really glad to see you back, and looking forward to dropping in on your stream as well. So we've got this design, it's kind of going through there. Now I was going to skip the gap, the pathing gap, and build the gate sort of as a separate project for this weekend, but I needed to do a little bit of closing off the top so I could figure out where I left off in my little mini pattern to be able to try and continue on. This portal can move a little bit. I'm not too fussed with it being here or not, because this is just the one to the lower nether, so I don't need to reposition everything. But that's really all she wrote. Not much happened. I spent time chopping and building walls. That's about it. My father-in-law was actually kind of looking at me funny going, "So, have you got your wall done yet?" "No." "Well, how big is this thing?" And so I showed him the map. And I said, so each one of those little teeny tiny squares is about 1 meter square. Or meter cubic. And he goes, "That's pretty big." And that was pretty much the last I heard out of it. And I realized I forgot my... there we go. My cheaty overlay. So I'm missing chat here. What? Okay, my bot is crazy. Thank you for giving Poodle Pirate a shout out. I appreciate that, fantastic Sherlock Fox. Oh, I see. Yeah, it didn't like the exclamation point at the end. Got it. Okay. So. Predator, prey, and camouflage. Ooh. Ooh. I did miss something interesting. Give me a quick second to figure out what that was. Back, back, back. Okay. Homeschool co-op. Bad service. Okay. And then the shout out. Gotcha. Yeah, Predator and Prey in science was one of my favorite topics. I actually enjoyed that a lot. Talking about how camouflage is very, very useful. And not just useful, but essential. Okay, taking a quick look. I was filling in a lot of this gap because it looked weird as it came under the fence, but I think we're good. And the other reason I have the big slash through the middle is that I can take down a bunch of this to try and level out for buildings and industrial and such. The however element of that is that I know under each side of this there's caves, so I just have to watch myself as I do things. Okay, sleep through the night first. Make sure we've got, oops, feed up. Make sure we've got the supplies we need. And I was dealing with the dirt. Okay, that's not what I need. No. No. Huh. Okay. Get over there then. We're just randomly picking up eggs here, there, and everywhere. Put those in the egg box. Where'd the egg box go? Okay. So somewhere along the line, I put down... Up here? Aha, there we go. Somewhere I'd put this thing down and didn't remember where I'd left it. The box is full. We're good. Alright. Okay, so this one can get picked up. Go away. And this one... Box. Box. There. Now I'm sort of sorted again. No problem, Poodle. Have fun. We'll catch up elsewhere. To be perfectly frank, I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing today. Keep having these grandiose ideas, and the next I can guess, so we'll just have to see where things go. Okay. Grab a few of these blocks. Do those. Now I'm going to need some more pieces to actually do the gate, but I think what I'm going to do is save the gate for part of my weekend project. because this is the part of the project where we actually need to build some towers on either side. This will be one of the major roads into town, and then there'll be, rather than running it, there'll be another major road coming just around the corner of the top of the, by the castle, I guess, which is just sort of coming from nowhere. It's more of a nod to the novels rather than actually being useful for anything. So I'm debating whether or not I'm even going to bother putting it in. But yeah, that's the long and the short of that. And I'm always distracted. I have a ton of stuff that I could be doing over on this side, but I want to get the gate finished first, because that allows us to run around the outside edge, doing a little bit of leveling, but also to put the pathing in, and we can actually build people's houses. So that would be sort of fun to do, to take a break this weekend. Excuse me. And by this weekend, I mean that there is a stream weekend for the Dadcraft community, and that is going to be loads of fun. I really am looking forward to that. And we haven't had a good one in a while, and summer is sometimes hard to get a good stream weekend schedule going with everybody. Okay. Because I'm going to have towers, I can actually handle a huge wall height change, I think. Let's just go with... I'm going to jump up and figure out, first off, where my pattern went. And actually just do it this way. It's probably easier. Okay, so I had that, and then, so what I've got is going block or bit with bricks, then 2 rows with not, and then we just repeat, right? So this one would have had it. Actually, let's just do it again. I'm just going to walk it. It's probably easier. Very quiet. Oh. I wouldn't like that spot anyways. Okay, what have we got? 1, 2. So bricks. Solid, solid, bricks. Solid, solid. Bricks. Solid, solid. Bricks. Solid, solid. Bricks. Solid, solid. Bricks. Solid. Solid. Bricks. Solid, solid. Bricks. Solid. Okay. I'm going to regret it because I'm going to probably end up rebuilding that part anyways, but I can fix those later. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3. Ow. And this is going to get terraformed in a little bit because of the tower, so I'm going to leave that as it is. Okay, so I think this is the second row of solid I've got. Throw one here. What I did along the outside won't become apparent when people are looking at the walls later, but it's the idea up to this point has been that the pattern stayed intact outside the walls, but inside the walls, it's all over the place. What I mean by that is it's got different heights, so it does look a little bit weird, and this is going to look really strange as well, on purpose. Let's put a red marker here, there. That'll make more sense. Alright, so we've got... I'm assuming this would be flat, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this wouldn't be wrong anyways. Ow! That was not smart. It's so smart, it's SMRT smart. There we go. That one, this one, there. All right, there we go. In order to get to that block, let's assume this is an edge. I'm gonna go sharply back. Yeah, sure. This one. So what we've been doing, let's back it up. So while I was in Ireland, one of the things that we did was we, talked a lot. It's a lot of history and such. Well, one of the neat things that neat to me, I guess, random things that came out of the trip was enjoying Irish television. We in our house have cut the cable, so we don't actually have cable in our house, which is fine. I'm good with that. In Ireland, my in-laws have not cut the cable, and so we got to watch neat stuff in the evenings. Like, for example, there was a big Irish dance celebration, I guess, and they call it a fla. And that does sound really weird, but it's really, I like it. It had a lot of Irish dance. And you see the usual, oops, that's not gonna be good. You see the usual suspects in terms of famous people, I guess. So, like, for example, from Canada, we had Natalie McMaster and the Leahys, which are her husband and their family. And so we got to see a lot of that in the evenings, which was quite pleasant. But it's interesting to note that when one watches the traditional dancers, so the ones that are just more or less having a ball, doing their thing, and just dancing to the music because they enjoy it, so usually the older set or whatever, then you see a lot of mixed styles of dance. I'm not really sure how else to explain it. Let's see, mixed in terms of, yeah, I guess they do what they want to do, kind of thing. It's a little bit more of just move to the music. It comes out a little bit like what we assume step dance to be, but a bit less coordinated or specific, I guess. But anyway, whereas a lot of what people tend to assume is Irish dance style was actually more or less created artificially by the Riverdance craze, which has now been going for 25 years. Hey Bob, how are you doing? You know, buddy, I miss your time zone. I love being that far ahead of people, because then I was actually ready to consume Discord by the time people out west actually caught up. Glad to see you, Bob. Okay, so yes, we had to watch the Flaw in the evening. I missed part of it one night because the family or people we were staying with were just sleepy or something, and they went to bed ahead of us, I guess. And I couldn't figure out how to turn the TV on to the right channel. So yeah, that was a bit of a shame, but I was enjoying it. But it's been, what, more than 25 years since Riverdance basically gave us what is Irish dancing today. And it's neat though, because so many kids do it. There's music and dance basically everywhere. It's almost like they assume that if you can't play an instrument, you either A, can learn, or B, you can hello, there we go. It's either A, you can learn, or B, well, if you can't play, dance, which is kind of interesting. But we didn't do either of them in the house. Just had other things to do. But there's lots and lots of history. I totally enjoyed it. Yeah, I had a great trip, actually. I was syncing my photos this morning, and aside from probably about 24 photos related to Pokemon Go, which I haven't played in ages, then we had a lot of photos to put in. I think I probably had nearly 550 or something. Work is done for the day, and it's takeaway for dinner. Ooh, what did you choose for takeaway? Oops. Oh, that's a little easier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But one of the other things I find interesting is the part of Ireland we went to is like Ireland, and that sounds funny to say that, but the part we went to is the part that's still a part of the European Union. And it's interesting to see to see some of the effects of the European Union decisions on things happening in Ireland. Not much that I would be able to explain in a newsworthy sense, but just things like choices on what sorts of vehicles are able to be sold, and things like petrol prices and so forth. But one thing I will say for the Irish, they are sure gutsy people, because their roads are crazy narrow. Totally crazy narrow. And it was a weird feeling. My father-in-law has the same kind of, basically the same kind of vehicle we used to own until relatively recently. But his, unfortunately, has had some far too close encounter with the bushes and hedges on the sides of the roads, especially when you have to pass people. And so it feels really kind of crowded, and I'm sure that he won't get as much for it as he would like, simply because it's been scratched up. So that's one of the few things I'm glad about being home for, because in Canada, particularly where I live out in Alberta, I mean prairie and stuff, we're fairly open width. Yep. So, yeah, so we've got fairly open width, and it felt weird when we came home and driving back from the airport, getting a cab back from the airport. It just felt really, really weirdly open, and compared to all the lushness overseas, our prairie is very boringly dry. Part of it is that we've got, wheat fields and stuff out here, which means that, like even next to the city, which means that it's going to look golden brown at some point of the year, but then we've had enough dry weather out here that there's a low-end water restriction. I don't know how long it's going to stay in place because it's currently raining. But we came back to what looked really bland and really dry, and I'm like, oh, I miss the Irish greenery. But Bob and Fantastic Shock Fox are going on about some of the takeaway that our kids experienced. We were over there. Yeah, both of our kids wanted to try a company called Abracababra, which I love that, and they're talking about the magic of takeaway food. Not so sure about that, but they liked it. It wasn't bad. But it was amusing because we'd get home in the evening and say, oh, what'd you have for lunch? And we told them, and then one of our hosts said, oh my goodness, I haven't eaten that since I was in college, and it's one of the things you'd eat after you've had a night of grown-up partying. So it was kind of amusing. But yeah, we talked about that. The kids are wondering why things get spelled differently. And the closest I could come up with is because they are. Some spellings, as I was watching YouTube videos over the topic actually, some spellings turn out to be that way partly because the Americans changed them. Some spellings turn out to be the way they are because, strangely enough, the North Americans did not change them. So what I mean by that is some of the spellings we use in North America are, particularly the US, are closer to the Latin roots than some of the spellings used in the UK. And where things occasionally got changed in the UK, they didn't get changed in North America. But I wish I could think of some specific examples on that one. I'm at a brief loss. But if you really want to know, one of the guys who touches lightly on that topic is a gentleman who's got a channel called Lost in the Pond, a guy by the name of Lawrence, and he touches on that a little bit, about how the spelling is different in the two, partly because one of them decided to stick with Latin-based versions, and then the other chose to shift it. Okay, what if we want to... Oops. Yeah. So while I was in the UK, I got to try some fun stuff too. It wasn't all that notable, but I have never had I'm not even sure what kind of food it was. A duck wrap of sorts. I don't normally eat duck. I mean, I've had, Asian duck. I think it was hoisin sauce or something like that on mine. But I'd never had it as a wrap before. That was kind of interesting adventure. I'm not one normally to experience things like piri-piri sauce all that often, so that was a good one too. Some of the things that we knew as in we were familiar with, just we don't often eat over here. But in spite of the stereotype, we didn't actually have lamb once, which was great. It wasn't just because my daughter is against eating sheep. It was simply that they just don't really eat it that much over there. It's more the woolen industry that's sort of the thing, I guess you could say. Okay. Second one. I had a system when I was doing these walls, but the diagonal wall makes it difficult. Okay, Creeper, you are beneath me, so I can ignore that for a second. So for those of you that wonder, my choice right now is Zero's mini-map. I used to use Journey Map. There's nothing wrong with either one of them. They're about 6 of one, half dozen of the other. One of the things that I like about the Zero's map that you'll see quite a lot of right now is the little pink dots. Let's go this way. Little pink dots floating around or moving around. Those are entities. So things like minecarts rolling in the farms nearby, and then you'll see often a pink dot near a chicken, and those are just eggs. But the reason I like that is if I've dropped something, or if I've had a battle with some sort of had a battle with some sort of mob, then it's handy to know that I've got stuff laying around that I need to pick up. It's not just because of lag, although that is a helpful feature, but it's nice because when I'm playing survival, sometimes supplies are precious, and so it's handy to be able to know, oh, nope, you've dropped a whatever it is that you may not have more of. This feels taller than it needs to be. How did that happen? Nope, still okay. So as I noted earlier, I'm still doing this 2-in-1 style pattern to wrap around the end. But if it turns out that in our gate, and once we get our towers up and stuff, that it doesn't work, then at least this is relatively easy to fix. It's a pain, but it's relatively easy to fix. And I'm trying to dodge the snow just because I don't have the texture pack on for it right now, but there's actually a good amount of death snow hiding around in this zone, so I just didn't really want to be involved in messing around with that. Is that 1? 1. 2. Okay, so let's see. Make a double wide. This one. Most of the stuff I ate when I was out in Ireland, like when we were away, was things like, I got a sandwich one day. Hey Tiz, how you doing? I saw your message the other day, and then it was followed with Springer offering to give me wake-up calls, and I was a little bit disturbed by that idea. Good to see you. Hopefully you guys have been having good times while I was away. Everybody deserves to be enjoying themselves every opportunity they can. 1, 2, 3. Let's go that way. I missed you too. Quite a lot, actually. I did try to keep up a little bit on Discord while we were away, but I wasn't great at it, so we missed a lot. Although, I mean, they were talking about a little bit about Bob and his takeaway, which actually works in our favor because both on the Discord and on actually I guess I can use the yurt. Sorry, both on the Discord and on our stream today, at least for the first one. Our question of the day is, what is your usual from your favorite fast food place? So fast food or takeaway. Because of course we don't always call it fast food here. I mean, and takeaway could even be takeout, right? Like, it's kind of interesting because when I was over in Ireland, generally they refer to takeaway, and it's probably because the idea of fast food itself is sort of a dubious concept in terms of whether or not it's actually fast. Frequently, it is not. certainly. The tough one? Likely Subway. Okay, but if you're having... So first, it's kind of a two-part question. First off, what would you say is your favorite takeaway place or fast food place? And the second part of that question becomes, once you've decided what your place is, what's your usual from that place? So Fantastic Sherlock Fox mentioned Subway. We often do that. Sub sandwiches and such. And we have regulars, which are basically usually either a sub sandwich, that's a steak and cheese based, whatever it is. It's not really American cheese, it's just some sort of oddball cheese. I'm not quite sure what it is. Or the alternative is often once again, steak and cheese, but it's a salad, just done up as a salad. And sometimes I'll put different things in it if it's a salad than I would on the buns, just because it gets all soggy if I do it on the bun. But then, I mean, if I've eaten Edo Japan quite a lot, which is sort of a stir-fry type place, and it's good. No arguments about that. It's definitely tasty. My favorite there is probably a mixed stir-fry with beef and chicken. That's another one actually we did stir-fries a couple times in Ireland, but because we were trying to accommodate the kids who were stretching their palates, I guess, crossed with just being oddly generically picky, that we probably didn't actually get a real feel for what the household was. On the other hand, I was quite surprised because we managed to get the kids to actually enjoy tofu, which is a new one for them, like in terms of enjoying it. It's a new thing for them. So maybe I'll call that a win? Fantastic Sherlock Fox says, if I go with Subway, it's a foot-long steak and cheese on Italian bread with double steak, lettuce, pickles, olives, green peppers, banana peppers, and cucumbers with salt, pepper, mustard, barbecue sauce, and house Italian dressing. And when he can get a decent one, a good hot sauce on there, I'm sure. One of the other side effects is I don't know. My father-in-law's wife likes spicy food and quite flavorful food. She's had a lot of opportunity to try that because she works for the UN, and so has had a lot of various international foods over the years. But unfortunately, my father-in-law can't actually do spice. Like, he has issues with quite a lot of them, allergy-style behavior out of it. So things like definitely can't do hot spices, as in peppers and such. And quite a lot of ginger throws him too. There's a few other ones, which is a bit of a shame. But so it meant that things were often less spicy than she would have wanted. On the other hand, that worked usually fairly well for our kids, because if you get too spicy, then sometimes they can be a little cranky about it. They do like fairly spicy things, probably more so than he can handle, but not always the same combinations of spices that others want to use. So we did stir fries, which was a great way of making use of all sorts of things. What else did we do? We were there. Basically, they had to ensure everybody would eat properly. Some of the meals were done by the hosts, and some of them were done by Fantastic Sherlock Fox, just to make sure that it would be something the kids would eat, and that they got a chance to experience a little bit more. Oh, sorry, that our hosts got a chance to experience more of the kinds of things that we normally have at home, because it's unlikely that we're going to be doing a whole lot of trips together anytime soon, at least. The world is weird and all that, who knows, but so it's a great way for us to share what we do in addition to what they do. There were a couple of times where we actually came home, quote unquote, and had lunch back at the house rather than eating out. I mean, not just for finance reasons, but just also to make it simple. Rather than having to worry about finding a place that everybody would like, we're at home. Makes it simple. It was also helpful. European stoves, I like them better than North American ones because we could actually make use of the convection oven, whereas in North American convection ovens, they're just not very good. The big difference is that the European ones, European convection ovens have 2 fans in them, so you get a really good circulation of the air, whereas North American ones only have 1, and it doesn't do much of anything, other than you need a lower temperature. That's about it, but it's really not very good for much of anything. You can bake. That's about it. So we don't use our convection oven in the convection mode all that often, for that very reason. But it was also nice to be able to see that in addition to doing a lot of stuff that way, it does keep your house a little cooler because you don't need it quite so hot to cook. But they also had one of the combination like Ninja Foodie things. And I kept thinking of our buddy Neon Traveler, who talks about that a lot. And so I got to see a bit more of some of the things you can do with that unit when you're, rather than using the oven, particularly when there aren't a whole lot of people around. And that's a good thing because my father-in-law and Fantastic Sherlock Fox got to verbally trade a few recipes or tips and tricks or whatever in terms of how to deal with the air fryer type foods. So that was kind of neat. Where are we here? 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Yeah. This feels like a long wall, but we're almost done. Yay! Pursuant to the question of the day, my favorite is, I think I covered the Subway one. But one of my other favorite places to eat is when I'm out. I like a place called Taco Time. I don't know if it's a Canadian only thing. It's not Taco Bell, so it's not actually the same thing. But Taco Time tends to have, they tend to have a soft taco of sorts where it's basically a tortilla with like lettuce and tomato and what else we got? I think there's sour cream on there and chicken. And I can't remember what else, a couple other things on there anyways. And the chicken, they used to call it the soft super taco, and it was definitely my favorite by far. Why am I doing that? I have more. This one. Okay. Definitely my favorite by far, but they don't seem to call it the same thing anymore, so I don't I don't really know what the recipe has changed to. But that's one of my favorite things to have. So I basically, when I go there, I look at what is it that's the closest thing to what I remember. They used to call it the soft super taco. And that's what I like to have, but I don't go all that often anymore. I think there's a Taco Time in one of the malls that my mom and I usually use. When we meet up for dinner before a Broadway show, or like a Broadway across Canada show, we started to make it a sort of a habit. We used to eat out at a restaurant every time, and that was just kind of fun, but one part of it is it does get expensive. And the other thing about doing it that way is that sometimes you actually have a challenge to make sure that you have to deal with servers and kitchen times and all that stuff, which can make it difficult to make sure you're at the show on time. So we decided instead we would just do fast food each time from one of our local food halls or food courts in the nearby shopping mall. So that's when sometimes I'll have food. Okay. Enjoy, buddy. You're locked out pretty soon. So that's when I get into have my Taco Time fix and stuff like that. Well, sounds like you have multiple favorites, Bob. What sorts of things work for you? Yeah, when I go to the taco place, I usually have the soft super chicken based taco. But when I go to like the Japanese type place, then I have something different. the beef and chicken mix. But I mean, if I'm just doing generic, generic Western Chinese takeaway, then in that case, it's often like a sweet and sour pork or ginger beef. Depends on the company for that one, because some of them do a good ginger beef and some of them don't. One of the things I've discovered about this wall is, unfortunately, because it's not completely spawn-proof yet, I'm hoping eventually, like over time, we'll make it more so, but I've noticed that on this west side, just south of where we are right now, we could tend to get a few pillager raids showing up with captains, so I have to be a little bit alert for that one. Ooh, yum. Yeah, that would be a great option. I quite like foods from that part of the world as well. Curries and such. But, it was not something to be when I was in Ireland. We stayed in a place that actually was not urban, so we did stop in, I wouldn't say do Dublin, so to speak, but we got to check out Dublin. It's one of those parts where, if you go to Ireland and you don't stop in at least one of the major cities, preferably Dublin, or I think Cork is another good one. You haven't really done part of Ireland, like you've missed out a big piece of it. So I mean, I got to Trinity College, but it's on my someday I'll go back list because, well, we got to see the campus and I like that quite a lot. It was fairly crowded and the kids weren't overly hooked, so we didn't do, the tour to see the Book of Kells or something like that. But I mean, hey, it'll happen someday. As I say, it's on my bucket list, so we'll get there eventually. 1, 2, oops. Strange enough, I did do some souvenirs, but I didn't go nuts. Oddly, I bought Lego. we were in Dublin, and we stopped at a Lego store, and they were celebrating their 1-year anniversary of being in that spot, so we bought Lego, as you do, I guess. And so I got a bunch of brickheads that we can put together, or either we or I will put together. We've got, as for backlog here, we've got Slytherin house banner is still underway, and I've got the house banners for Gryffindor and Hufflepuff. And then we've got a bunch of new brickheads, 6 of them in fact. So we can work on those if we like, or if people aren't interested and I get the itch, then I'll just go ahead and build one. It's not a big deal. Here. But we saw lots of cool things. Lots and lots of history for Vikings and Normans and so forth, and it was amazing. I had such a blast. I would totally go again just for the history. I just had such a... I've always been one that's, liked the Viking and knights and whatnot stuff. It's been my kind of thing for years anyways. I've enjoyed it, but you clearly in Canada don't get a whole lot of opportunity for that sort of thing. We're prairie to death. So it was quite nice to learn a lot about history. We got to see our good share of castles and such. We did get to see the beaches, and the kids were thrilled to be able to stick their feet in the ocean and play and build a sandcastle. So that was definitely worth it. At one point we thought we'd have a second beach day, but the wind just got way too high, and we had a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, we had some rain. They said it was one of their rainier summers, which is not common, but I didn't mind, because Canada is so dry a lot of the summers that being in a rainy spot actually was quite a treat. So Fox, what did you experience about the curry that made that stick out in your head?
Hello?
So I didn't think we actually got a whole lot of the curry opportunities just because of the family issues. Hey Shadow, how you doing? Springer Shadow. I'm up! Actually, it was a good thing you didn't wake me up this morning. I probably would have, told you to back off or something. Just minor rough night last night. But I did get up earlier than I originally was going to, so that's good. As in, I'm still ahead of the game. Later than I had planned, but I'm still ahead of the game, so we're doing good. I know I wouldn't have punched you. So if you guys are unaware, I had been saying to Springer Shadow that we're talking about, from Tiz for Truth's comment on our Discord, about asking or suggesting I drink lots during the jet lag recovery. And very, very accurate that is too. Coffee doesn't help a whole lot. But where I was going with that one was that I had said that's actually working in my favor this time around, because I've been fighting or trying for months to get myself to change how late I've been staying up. There we go. Trying to change how late I've been staying up at night and trying to get up earlier, because a lot of it is that my kids actually had a bit of a backwards year last year. Because they were able to walk themselves to school, I got lazy and just generally didn't bother getting up out of bed. And I mean, that's, yeah, lazy. So to go with that, Fantastic Shock Fox was usually up getting them going and making their lunch anyways. So I just never did. And I got in such a bad habit over that whole thing that I just had difficulty getting myself out of bed. And it got rather ridiculous. I'd roll out of bed straight into stream, which is dumb because that's like 10 a.m. my time. Not when I got up, but when I started streaming. So, but coming back from Ireland, it's played in my favor a little bit, because the 7-hour time shift, the first night made me wake up ridiculous early. But the second day wasn't too bad. I actually, yeah, like when I finally got up that day, it actually wasn't too bad. It was probably only about 6:30 my time, and that was after going back to bed, or having what was it they call it? Having a lay-in, I suppose. And so it's working out well in that respect. As I said, I had a bit of a rough night last night, but it didn't delay things too much. So I don't want to get back into my bad routine habit. I actually would like to be able to be up, particularly since my son is going into junior high this year. And yes, that's a spoiler on ages, so please beware. Anyway, where was I going with that? Oh, so sometimes I'd actually like to be up, if not helping out, just at least be able to give him some moral support in the morning, because he's got to be on a school bus by about 7:15 in the morning. My daughter's school starts just before 8, and he's got to be on the bus about 45 minutes ahead of that, so it's, or a half hour to 45 minutes ahead of that, so it's not ideal. It's going to be a bit of a change for him, so I'd like to actually be up for that. And that's where the time change difference. No, I'm not going to fall asleep midstream this one. No promises about whether or not I'll survive tonight, that's for sure. The other thing I discovered about the Irish, they seem to be far more split into two camps. There's either those that have the stereotype, I drank too much in the pub kind of look in terms of body mass, and then there's quite a lot of the population that seems to be far more fit. So I'm on the far less fit side of things, and that was a bit uncomfortable. I mean, I know it's always uncomfortable. We've been over this 6 ways to Tuesday. But the people I stayed with have gone on a health kick as well. So it just means that although I didn't have any positive change while I was over there, we definitely didn't do anywhere near as much of the conspicuous consumption, which meant that, if I can do it this way, didn't have near as much conspicuous consumption while we were over there. So coming back, I'm trying to watch that part as well and work a little bit more. By getting up earlier, I can actually have time for some sort of breakfast before I try to stream. And that just means that I have to make sure I go for a walk in between streams and that sort of thing. So just about daily while I was on holiday, my phone was yelling at me going, your energy expenditure trend has changed. Thanks. That doesn't tell me much. You know, your steps count trend has changed. It's like, thanks. You know, I kind of figured that out. Oops. Am I over? This one's off by 1. But it was just about daily. It would say, you're such and such has changed. And it's like, yeah, I get it. I get it. I was a lazy slob. Let's try and change that a little bit. So that was the other thing is, my in-laws don't actually eat a whole lot of meat and stuff like that, or they eat it fairly light amounts. And we're not heavy major consumers of it, but we definitely were more than them. And so it's just one of those things that I'm a bit more conscious of at the moment. Yeah, actually, we were rural where we stayed, so I don't think it's too much of a giveaway to say that we, if you're into maps, we were staying in the Irish county of Wexford, not that far from the town of Arklow, but definitely rural. So it was great because it was a big enough property that my father-in-law has, as Fantastic Truck Fox has alluded to, my father-in-law has got 2 robot mowers that do his lawns for him. They actually own 2 properties, like one in Ireland and one in France. And because of the need to be in France a large part of the year, they're not always home in Ireland to be able to mow their own lawn. So it's not necessarily just being lazy, they're just not there, and you can't keep up with it if you're not there. So, so instead of mowing lawns, he's got these 2 Husqvarna lawnmowers, which, so you would think that helps you be a little bit less lazy, but, or sorry, a little bit more lazy, but on the, what the, I'm not the only one here, okay, good. But he loves to go for walks and climb hills and beaches and or climb hills, walk beaches, that sort of thing, which is great. I like that idea a lot. It's just that right now I'm not in a shape where I can consistently do that every single day, so I skipped a few walks because I was just aching, and when they were doing ones that actually had a climb, I was unhappy with the fact that I wasn't just keeping up. Some of them I just didn't feel that I could make it at all. So in North America, one of the joys I've learned about over the last couple of years is how great it is to use hiking poles while walking. So it's not just your classic stave or something like that, but the actual ones that look like ski poles, frankly. And so that's one thing I've sort of fallen in love with over here, and because that part of it is it takes some of the strain off the hips and stuff. And didn't have that overseas, so that was another piece that was not in my favor. But could be worse, you know? And so, I mean, at some point I would like to go back again purely for the exercise. And it sounds funny, but it's also kind of interesting to see how many people would actually go for a walk or take their, or they take their dog or ride their bicycle or whatever down the narrow roads. And the funny part is, where we stayed, it was actually, it used to be, well, it is, but it's part of the major coast highway on the southeast part of Ireland, which then you would think that it's going to be a little wider than 2 cars with 0 shoulder. No, not at all. So it's very, very normal there for people to be using high-vis vests. And then if you've got a bike, helmet's required. I was definitely in your time zone for sure. Yeah, 10 or 15 minutes from a few places. I think Fantastic Shock Fox said it would have taken him on... He's quite a faster walker than I am. But I think it would have taken him about 2 hours, I think he said. I don't know if it was a return trip or not, if you wanted to go on foot for groceries into the shops. But I definitely would go again. They've got a lovely property. So one of the things I have, it's very different. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Actually, one of the things that, regarding time zone, Springer Shadow, one of the things that kids often get shown here is, as part of school, when they're learning about history and particularly England and so forth, they often get shown maps of, oops, 1, 2, 3, yeah, it's too low. They often get shown maps of the UK and, or let me call it the Great British Isles, let's put it that way, which is not accurate either, but it works. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there we go. They get shown that, and they get shown how the entirety of it fits within our province. So I can totally follow that. Actually, it was kind of funny because one of the GPS map routes we tried to take at one point incorrectly was going to put us on a ferry across. Yeah. But it's interesting how the whole thing just fits within our province. 1, 2, 3, 4, let's go. Just right. 1, 2, 3. This one and cap. Yeah, okay, there. That works. Oops. I knew I'd do something like that. Yeah, Northern Ireland is apparently 6 counties, I guess, that are still part of the UK. So it's a little awkward in some parts because when we stayed with people, we didn't actually cross into Northern Ireland, but it is quite common for people to just start planning their trips to Ireland and not necessarily be fully aware that part of it is in Northern Ireland, and they actually have to be aware of the fact that because they're post-Brexit, that it's not just as easy to cross over as it used to be. So there's always some hiccups there. And it's funny because a lady we were staying with was saying funny things like, so when they're playing each other, Northern Ireland and Ireland, in sports, then they're 2 separate countries. But if either one of them is playing against another part of the UK, be it Scotland or England, then it doesn't matter if you're from Northern Ireland or Ireland regular. It's just all Ireland, and everybody cheers together. Cool. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting twist how that works out. That's one of the few things. We stayed in what was known as jokingly known as the sunny southeast of Ireland, and this year it has not been. So things like we got a couple days before we left, we actually had a summer storm of the grade that they don't usually start seeing till October. So it was kind of interesting how that came up. I mean, it was good for our kids to be able to see, to get an idea of the sort of weather that people deal with when it's not summer. And it actually was almost a winter storm grade. Oops. Yeah. So I heard. People were wondering if it was going to be a fantastic day, or a fantastic summer, and it just wasn't. But it wasn't a bad one either. I mean, it was good for us to see. And it kept everything fresh. Not just green, but kept everything smelling fresh and stuff, and didn't look overly brown. You could tell that it was fairly lush, whether you're colorblind or not. You could still tell that it was lovely lushness that we just don't see in Canada. I was on it earlier a little bit about the housing. So where the house that we stayed in was one where a couple has taken it down, in essence, to the bones and rebuilt. So rather than actually taking the whole house down, the thing was virtually gutted. And a lot of upgrades were put in. But the way I don't quite understand the system, but there's an environmental grade given to all the houses. And I think it goes from like A, in something A, and each of these are ranges, so I'm not perfect with that either. But A down to, I believe it is G. And the lower in the alphabet you get, the less environmentally friendly and insulated and so on and so forth that these things are. And a lot of the newest buildings are being legislated such that they need to be built to an A spec. But the house we were staying in, even though they gutted the thing, because it was an older build, and I'm not quite sure when it was built, Fantastic Shot Fox might know. But in any case, they'd added enough upgrades and stuff to it that while we were there, they managed to tip it over into the B category from being a C property. Letter C, not SEA. Which makes me vaguely wonder what a similar system would be like if we were grading properties in Canada. But there's still hangovers from earlier building codes. For example, I don't know if it's still in the building code, but at least it was as of the time this house was built, that because of the type of heating, for a long time being things such as wood and peat. Then there was big issues with carbon monoxide poisoning in the house, or carbon dioxide from stuff, and just too much of it kind of thing. And so people actually got quite sick, and a good number of them died, and so on and so forth. Unpleasant as that is. There we go. And so these houses were built so that every single room in the house has a vent that goes out to the side, like to the outside of the house. Not that great for keeping your heating in the winter, and when you've got the wind whistling through it and whatnot in the other seasons. The modern A-grade houses actually don't need to do that because they don't have the type of heating systems that would ever supposedly get that much problem, like for air ventilation and so on. So they don't do forced air heating and stuff like that in a lot of the area. In-floor apparently is the thing over there, which makes heat pumps a possibility. But anyway, where we were, because they had upgraded it, they'd got an insert for their fireplace rather than just using the traditional one. So they still have like a basically little wood stove. That's not their main heating, but that it is used. So they weren't able to reno out the vents. They actually just have vent covers that are solid most of the year, and then when they go to use the little insert fireplace, they actually open the vents so that you can't actually have a problem. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we're getting to the point where I'm going to need to take a look at the far side and see what I did to try and match up. Let's just get this bit done and then check on it. Because on the far side, I know I only matched up to the bottom of the wood here, which is clearly not going to get very far. So I need to figure out how to step it down to look right, I guess. It does make me wonder what the Canadian equivalency would be if we had those sorts of vents required in our houses. 1, 2, 3. Oh no. I have a bed. Here I am, flying all over the place when I have a bed. Three days of no rain since... Bob, how's your land holding up when that's the case? The reason I ask is, in Canada we've had places, and other parts of the world do too, where the ground itself just gets too soggy to hold the water, so then you end up getting flooding and such, just because the ground can't absorb anymore. Are you guys doing okay out there after that much rain? That seems kind of wild. I know that the Dadcraft Discordites were talking about California having crummy weather this year, with parts of it getting far too much rain in far too short a period. It's interesting that that was the case. I mean, while we were on vacation, we were having conversations about the fact that some places are getting far too much rain, and other places are on fire. We're not just talking Canada. While we were on vacation, Spain was burning quite badly, and it's getting too hot, and which is bad in one sense, but also it actually has knock-on effects that people don't necessarily realize. For example, people like the Irish and the English, for example, will often go to places like Spain for their summer vacation. But the thing is, if it's getting too hot or is on fire, they're not going to be able to go there anymore. It may have been both, but I was trying to remember what it was. Do I have a web browser? Let me just double check. Oh, I clicked it twice. Okay, that's not what I want. Fire. Yeah, so the island of Tenerife, as part of South Spain, was, according to, as of 2 days ago, more than 26,000 have been evacuated. Wildfires in Greece are causing problems. Canary Islands are getting ravaged. What else have we got? And that's just that's just, you know, that part of overseas. I mean, Canada's on fire. We had problems with the interior of British Columbia recently. But it's weird how some spots are getting far wetter than usual, and yet for places where people would normally go away for summer vacation, because it's nice and warm and whatnot, because of climate change, people are actually being able to spend more time going away for vacation to places like Sweden. It's not something you would normally think of, go to Sweden for your summer vacation, but you know, like with weather going pear-shaped, why not? Let's see. Got a few more. Ooh, one more block. Oh, whoops. Whole nother chest full, huh? My carrot farm is being a little more productive than I originally expected. That's kind of nice. It doesn't fit back in the box. There we are, 2 more boxes of carrots. I had a reason for carrots at one point. I don't have as much of a reason for carrots anymore. Because it was for working with villagers to get more villagers and librarians to get more librarians, but given all that's going on with the various possible changes, I just haven't put in the time to have the librarians finish up getting their trades. And it's just a mess over there right now. Okay, so we have a circle. Yay! So it's a very not flat circle. Not that easy to build a village on, but we have some flat spaces in the center. And a few of the major roads coming in. You can see with the red dots, that's what's going to be pathing that portion. I'll probably start with just path blocks to begin with. We can always texturize that later with random stuff. So we've got a few flatter spots to build, and that'll work out well. We can fill in some of these low areas here to expand the village. But as you can see, we have a lot of space. So yeah, it's making progress. I think I'm going to save, so I'll do this bit. Actually, because I'm not super planned at the moment, let's go see what the other side looks like. See what we can do with getting across this moat. See what I did over here. Oh, and this is probably full again, right? Yep, okay. I'm just going to tear out that melon farm because I really don't need it at all. If I decide I need melons, I can put a decorative manual melon farm. Okay, so this one, I just kept the pattern coming down the steps to the bottom. And then went roughly straight across. Oh. Alright. I didn't even keep my pattern in the middle here, so that's not good. But that's okay. And then we've added iron bars, I think. Let's see what I've got for iron bars in storage. Boop. Ooh, how are we doing on chicken? Yay! It's not bad. It's actually better than I expected. I'm glad that you guys like it. We haven't gotten into the major buildings for the book series. We've got a castle, which needs to be bigger and taller and slightly more Norman. So, I mean, I could actually completely tear out the wood section and make it a more standard castle, but I don't think about this point. However, first off, this part shouldn't have been stone, but I made a stone wall, so I'm kind of stuck with it. Second off, it should have been twice the height at minimum, but you know, it's one of those, we'll see how much time we have in the season. Alright, looking for parts and pieces, right? Did I put out? I know I have a box of that. Where did I put the things that are not blocks? I really swear up and down I need to hire somebody to come sort my stuff. Oh, 1 iron bar. Oh, okay. Well, that was a useless hunt. Let's go and get some more from... I could use the blocks. There's no problem using the blocks from storage. But since I know that the iron farm is just churning out more, might as well come and see what it's up to. Okay, I can take these. And those. Alright. Don't think I need that many iron bars. What are you doing up here, dude? You can go. You don't need to be here. I completely and utterly forgot that that would be a thing when I moved the portal out of here and took out some gates. Do I have... Okay, so there's no workstations they can access. You can go get yourself stuck in a corner? That's kind of useless, buddy. What else? Okay, while I'm here... Aha! Yeah, these are growing nicely. Okay. Let's take this one. That's fine. I'll have to pick up from the bottom. One. All right, that works better. Ah, oops. Come on, let's go up. There he is. I figured my little villager would be over here somewhere, so I didn't think that I wanted to be messing around. Going out the door, I just don't think I'd have any luck trapping him. Hey, bud. Here, you. Thank you. You can go home, okay? Pie and chips. Beans. Beans was something when we were in Ireland. Our kids got exposed to the, what was it called? A classic Irish breakfast, which is very much like an English breakfast. But they didn't quite understand why anybody would want to eat beans as much. Beans aren't a thing in Canada the way they are overseas. Yeah, baked beans, for sure. Are they scratch baked beans or are they Heinz? That seems to be the way to go these days. Seems like everybody wants to have Heinz beans on stuff. Heinz if you're doing it. Yep, of course. Figures. Alright, let's see what we've got. Where did I put the workstation? There we go. Okay, good. That should be enough for now. Yep. That was the other thing, is kids got to see a few overseas shops, not a whole ton of them, but I know Fantastic Sherlock Fox got into, I think we went and saw an Aldi's, and we got to see a Tesco, which both of them are not something we have over here. So it was just, that was a different experience for sure. And they're not, like, I mean, it's not all that different, but the kids got to see that, you know, cereal for breakfast isn't always the same wherever you are. Cereal for breakfast could be, what was it? It could be food you're familiar with, or it could be something unfamiliar. Oops. Let's try... Do I want to connect in straight across? Yeah, probably. Okay. But it was kind of fun for them to try and figure out what they wanted to eat because they were supposed to go pick their own breakfast cereal. And that was a bit of an experience for them because they didn't know what to choose. 1, 2, 3, 1. Oh, where am I here? 1, 2, 3. Food not as fresh here. Always love the fresh options in supermarkets abroad. It's funny you should say that because we did see quite a lot of fairly fresh options overseas. Yeah. Toronto, not so much, but we got some pretty good stuff in Ireland. Excuse me. I guess you guys deserve a hydrate too. I don't even know what it's
2, 4, 6, 8, everybody hydrate!
Water. Okay. There's mine. So one thing you guys will see change is I should actually hydrate properly while we're streaming here. And I've decided to allow myself to just go at it with the coffee as necessary. It's not much of a hydration. I mean, it does wet my whistle a bit, but we all know that caffeine is a diuretic, so it's actually not a hydrator. And I mention that because two things. One is that I just wasn't drinking a lot of liquid at all, half expecting, or not half expecting, but waiting for the hydrate recommendation. But the other side of it was that I actually was finding that I wasn't actually drinking my coffee. What the? Oh, right, okay. I'm hiding a... Yeah, there must be a bit of a mini cave in here. Yeah, okay, there's a cave down there, and I had hidden a torch, and then when I passed this block, it just left me a weird gap. Anyway, but I'm letting myself go at the coffee because I just wasn't drinking it early enough, and I do like having 1 cup of coffee during the day. But if I have it too late, then that does encourage me to stay up late. And as we were talking about, that's not a wise decision long term. So I figure if I just let myself have the coffee whenever, and then people can actually tell me to hydrate with proper water, then I can... A, it makes it easier to track, and B, that I can... Pardon me, actually get my coffee drank early enough. Oh, ow. Maybe I should probably move some of this? Hey JF Bird Blue, how are you doing? Out of
Hello
stock,
there.
I wanted to say hi. Well, thank you very much for doing so. I'm pleased to see you. Hopefully you guys are having a good time while I was away. I actually didn't watch a single streamer while I was away. Fancy that. Not quite sure how or why that happened, but... Oh, hey, empty. But it was good. Yeah, no problem at all. Any visit from JF Bird Blue is always a treat. Okay. Aubrey's having tea. Ooh. For tea, lots of tea. Yes, when you say what type of tea, I want to know what brand. That sounds funny, but apparently it's a thing overseas to be brand loyal for your tea. Over here we don't have a whole lot. We've got, I think, Twinings and... what's the other big major one? Celestial Seasonings, I think it is. Yorkshire tea. Okay. Which is very different from a cream tea. That's actually one thing I also noted while I was overseas was tea. Lots of tea. But we didn't actually bump into the other concept in terms of a tea time, so to speak. What I mean by that is we didn't actually bump into the concept of having, you know, tea being different than dinner hour or supper hour. It just never really came up. Okay, so this one is far too low. Let's see if we can... I forgot that I was actually working with the beacon on the other side of the wall, that I can actually get the double jump. Ooh. Sugar and just enough milk to make it opaque. Yeah, I got razzed very slightly for my my bad habits when it comes to tea, because I'm one of those horrible people who will, I mean, if we're doing pour out, I just like to be poured out last. That's, you know, nothing exciting on that front. I'll have to double check to see what the other side's doing, actually. I like to be pour out last, but if we're not doing pour out and we're doing, you know, tea... Okay, good, so it's just connecting underneath. But if we're doing tea bags and mugs or whatever, I'm that weird person who will just leave the bag in, and the person washing the mug ends up getting to peel the bag off the bottom. I mean, I'm getting better at remembering to not leave it in at the end, but I am one of the ones who will actually have the tea bag sit in there the entire time I'm drinking it, which I'm told is not the right way to do things. And it seemed to give our hosts a little bit of the heebie-jeebies when I was doing it that way. Probably my imagination, but it definitely didn't seem to be popular as an idea. Cool. Good, so I'm only a little bit insane then, Bob. There you go. There's my excuse. My fine British friend approved it, so I'm sticking to it. Alright, we'll pretend that's the case. Okay, what have we got? How many higher is this? Oh, it's only one. Okay, that's not a problem. Then I can actually just cheat a little bit. Raise this one back up by 1, and then come straight across. I like that. I can do that. Yeah, it used to, that whole tea thing used to annoy the heck out of one of my former scout leaders I was working with. She was Scottish, and her husband was Scottish too, but it used to drive her nuts that he would do that with his tea bags. I don't quite know why she got so wound up about it. And it's not a right or wrong thing, it's just different. Come on. Okay, let's do it this way, and then that way. We've had this conversation before. You play Bedrock for a bit, and it totally messes you up on being able to use scaffolding in Java. There we go. I'm going to have to do something at the top here to make it non-spawnable. Probably slabs, I think. I'll have to see what I did on the other side. Or did I just simply get lucky? Doo-doo-doo. Oh. I didn't do anything on that side because I figured I was going to deal with it when I got around to putting the upper layer of the wall on. Right, that explains it. Yeah, that's the other thing that people do that I do that people don't necessarily approve of, is I will put ice cubes in my tea if I need, or my coffee if I need to drink it quickly, or sooner than when it's cool enough for me, which does adulterate the flavor a little bit. But sometimes I find the milk or cream being served just isn't cool enough, even if it's straight out of the refrigerator. Okay, so actually I can probably ditch where is... Okay. That was the bricks. So it'll be solid, solid, bricks, solid on this corner. There we go. Solid. Oh, nope. Ooh, let's put this one over here. There. Still trying to keep that pattern, and I don't know why. 1, 2, that'll be bricks, solid, solid, bricks on this one. I put the wrong one down anyways. Great. But yeah, I'm just learning the hard way. But we had tea quite a lot of nights while we were away, and I quite liked having it. But I have to be careful. Once again, the caffeine would get me. And I don't know about you guys. I'm going to have an age thing for a second here. Age discussion. Yes. Sorry. Apologies in advance for those that don't like that sort of thing. But I hit the wonderful joys of that age where I'm too warm at night. TMI and all that jazz. Suffice to say, in Canada it's dry enough. I don't normally have that issue. But apparently in Ireland it was not dry enough. So things like caffeine would set me off, things like red wine, you know, and that was not great because I got the message through, sort of, but had a few opportunities where I missed out on some lovely French red wines and stuff that were being served just because they got the idea somehow that I wasn't into red wine, which isn't technically true, but I wasn't going to explain why it wasn't true. Okay. This looks odd, so I'm just going to take out this row. And I have to double check one other piece to see how high up I went. Ouch. From the bottom, approximately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. A little bit more to and fro. But on the tea front, yeah, I did the silly thing where I was putting in ice cubes. And a couple of times I got up late enough that it was challenging for me to get the morning coffee before we left, so I did end up having to go with a travel mug, which is fine, but I put ice cubes in there as well, just so that I could make sure that I drank up the mug before we went places during the day. 2, 3... Ah. Three. And 5. Ooh, I like that, actually. It's looking nice. Of course. Of course, it would be 1 bar short. Last time I was 1 bar over, now I'm 1 bar short. Toolbox. Now I have 15 extras. Oh well. There we go. Actually, if I take this bottom one out, it's not quite so bad. Turn out ugly in a second. And the only other thing I want to know, I'm just going to F4 it this time, or not F4, sorry, recam it this time, is I want to know, did I go all the way down to the bottom? No, I did not. I just had an oopsie there is all. Okay. So that means I don't have to dig out these bottom 2 slab sets to be able to get full bars down there. which makes sense because if I was pretending to fill this with water, which I might do, then I want the water to be able to flow under the gate, but it's low enough that mobs can't get under the gate. Alright, and then we can go up here, where the stairs go. This one and that one. Pick up this block for now. I can actually reach everything. Excuse me. 1, 2. This will be brick. That looks a little weird coming down, so I may end up having to change it long term, but it does for now. That's a bit of a steep slope. Anyway. Alright, so we've got that part sorted out. Put the tools away. Alright. Really? I hit it just about on time. Perfect. Alright, so what I'm going to do... We started about half hour late, so we've only got about half hour left. I think rather than cutting short and giving up that half hour, I think what I'm going to do is just... Oh, nope, not that. Shaders are reloaded, which I'm not running in the first place. I'm just going to dump off a bit of the stuff I'm not going to use, like a lot of this iron, and I forgot I was carrying plenty of dripstone. And then we'll go and do a little bit of choppity chop on the roadway. That sounds good to me. Don't know about you guys, but works for me. Oops. Turn these into blocks. No, not that. That one. And these make no sense to be where they are, but that's okay. Stone, where do you belong? Up here. I have stone stuffs. I do. Oh, actually no, I have boxes. Boxes and boxes of the stuff. That's where everything should be. Clean up. Right, maybe? There we go. So I'm gonna need it for later. Okay, put those away. Alright. Axe is decently alright. So let's take a look at the tools and grab. Selected bending and breaking 3. Fortune hoe, sure, why not? Not the greatest, but it'll do. Let's make sure I have a bed. Alright, so what we're up to. Put that away. What we're up to here is just chopping out trees, rather literally. Trying to make a gap from this red marker, basically a beeline, because I really don't need it to be bendy and exciting, over to this section. That's really all she wrote, but I want to make sure as I go through that I don't have to worry too much about filling the stone ahead of me. Because I might. Yeah, okay. That is just a tiny cave spot. Okay, well, that's not a problem. I need the bed. Oh, yeah, just me. That ought to be enough to plug the hole. There we go. Nobody asked you guys. Huh. Oh. 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 That's less optimal. And let's. You want to go too far into this one? How about there? Backfill? One of the things that caught me just as I was logging in today was a hole a little bit like this one, but I had logged in and I was looking around just to make sure everything was peachy while I got the rest of the OBS up and running and so on and so forth. And wouldn't you know it, spiders. Yep, nice half dozen came running out of the bottom. And I wish I was exaggerating on the numbers, but this time I'm not. So I said, nope, 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 not happening. Oh, well that's kind of dumb, Delenn. Put the torch in, and then go and start filling past it. That's real smart. There. Yes, I realize there's like in there, I just caught that. Huh. I know I missed a spot, but that's okay. That'll do. I also don't have to fill solid, but you know, comfy blanket and all that. Alright. Oh, guess that's not going to be enough to fill the hole, is it? I don't want the people from Frankwell all coming in as zombies. That would be a little bit less than ideal. Ow! Seriously, nobody asked you. Go away. Where are you be hiding? Come on. Fine. Let's go and get the other dirt. There, I'm getting better at this not always smashing into the ground thing. Still a fairly frequent occurrence, but it's not as bad as it used to be. You know, if I actually take these trees out of the way, that actually might help. Which was, the original plan? How many minutes ago? You did get me. You got me good. You got me good. Let's see. This one. Oats. Oats. I really have to get Poodle's personal command finished. I know Poodle paid for one, and I actually have it underway. They did give me the information, and I just have not got that finished yet. And I think I should get to it, because then I can actually check it off the list. of things outstanding, which means that I can actually see when people, you know, claim stuff. I don't think it would make any difference. You'd still probably get me pretty good. Then I could at least charge points for that. Or right now, a little less likely. Okay, this one, that one. Now, I'd love it if, you know, you could chop out the trees and the leaves would just go away. But unfortunately, that's not the case when they're this close to the ground and other trees. Now, time to get dizzy. Okay. Hey, Big Hairy GM, how are you doing? Aha.
Hello?
Hello. There we go. Dude is gone. I'm doing great. Bit of a rough start this morning, but I think we made it. And we're working off. Seriously? How can I be that bad? Oh! Okay, that's not something I've seen before. There was a... Okay, there was a spider, but it looked white. I don't know what that is. I don't want to know what that is. But now I know where they came from. And I'm a little bit of a pincushion. Let's just plug this up here. Because that was not the hole I'd been working on earlier. This is not the hole I was looking for. It looks to me like I have a bit more terraforming dirt to dig up. We might be able to peel down from the top a little further than I had originally anticipated. Okay. Yeah. If anybody who's on the server is listening, donations of random, useless filler dirt, gratefully accepted. I mean, honestly, I could fill it with stone. I just didn't think to do that. Doesn't quite, you know, kill it with fire, but it's enough to... There. Okay. So now you guys won't be harassing me while I'm trying to fill that other hole. Wherever I was earlier. Yeah, we're here. There we go. That's one of the things I don't like about the modern generation, is that we have a ton of places where there's like little spaghetti caves absolutely everywhere. But I mean, hey, if I was doing Solo World, I could choose whatever generation model I wanted because I wouldn't have to play the modern version. However, by doing that, I lose out on a lot of the fantastic, awesome stuff that's been released since. So, you know, I guess I just need to really work a little bit on growing a set and be fine with it. Yep, have a good one, Springer Shadow. You're so many hours ahead of me that I say enjoy your evening and rest well, and we'll see you again soon. Hope sleep doesn't take over the midnight stream. Well, and that's the other thing. If I have coffee between now and then, I might make it through the midnight stream and then wish I hadn't had coffee, so we'll have to see. You've seen me stream tired in the morning, so maybe I'll stream tired at night for a change. First for everything, right? Yes, sometimes there are too many caves. Well, that's the thing. I really wanted to be able to have a somewhat solid place for my base season this season, but it wasn't to be, and that's, you know, it's one of those it is what it is type of things. you make do, but it does make it difficult to do a whole lot of peel down of terraforming to try and level things out when you would like a flatter place to work. You know, you peel down and then almost all of a sudden, oh, I've scraped off all the top layer between me and a rather large cave. What a pain. You know, so it's just decisions. It's a matter of decisions. Okay, so that one's virtually done. There's the signature Delen's step down. This one just needs another light because it's going to be nighttime. Now I can fly off to bed, right? Maybe? If I can figure where I put the thing. Alrighty. I'll be honest, I can't get enough of looking at this picture because it took us so long to get down to the bottom corner, and the fact that I made it through almost all of it while we were on vacation, it feels really good. It just took forever and forever and forever. Now, I am recognizing that for now I'm sidelining the Bedrock Solo World, and that's twofold. One, of course, we've got Stream Weekend on the weekend, and two is that, what did I do there? Oh. And two is that I did transfer that one to another computer, and I have not got it transferred back yet. So that's why you're not seeing a whole lot of Bedrock Solo this week, is just because we've got prep and I need to get that one moved back. And aside from more wood chopping, because I still don't have enough for the project I was planning, I still need to sit down and figure out Structura. I could probably ask people to help expedite the process, quote-unquote, this one time. But even that coordination takes effort I have not yet taken the time to put in. So, one way or the other. It's doable. I just haven't got there yet. And in all honesty, a solo player world, things stop. When I stop doing stuff, things there stop. It's not like you're going to, you know, go on the server and find out that 10 people have been on and they built amazing things and your world looks like the back of a shoebox, you know? But, like in solo worlds, things stop. So we have flexibility, I guess is probably another way of putting it. Sure, I might as well blow out what I've got for dirt now. And then we can get back onto some tree chopping and pathing and, yeah. Because these are the ones I saw that was noted as being holes in the ground. And of course I discovered an extra one. That's the way things go. But we're getting there. We'll make our way over to Frankwell. That might be what we do today or this afternoon. I have not decided yet. We'll see. A whole 3-hour stream this weekend of chopping trees to Frankwell probably would not be ideal. So yeah, need to figure that out. One of the things I had said before I left was that I was going to get a headspace check and, you know, reorganize my Minecrafting world and my streaming world, just getting my brain in the right place. Spending time with family was far more fun. Learning about history and geography and stuff was far more fun. So, you guys don't get to reap the benefits, but hey, can't win them all. Alright, okay, so trees. It's still pretty gray. But I think we can live with that. Because nothing major is going to come out and, like, clobber the villagers. And I need to cut down a bit so people can actually get down here. There we go. Hey, guess what? 5 more blocks. Okay. Coming down there, headed. Oh, you know what I should probably do? I have a... Where do I have... The overworld ones, where did I put the marker? Maybe I just wrote it. Maybe I didn't actually have one. Checking my note real quick. Nope, Java, it's blank. Okay. Franklin Road, there we go. 1910, 140. Okay. So, I go over here. 1910, 140, close enough. So here, let's set that a temporary waypoint, I guess. Edit it. Frankwell Road. There we go. Confirm. Alright. Now I know I can head for that. That helps a lot. Kind of hard to get there though if it's jumping down too much. Down. Tree. Of course, it's a monster. Clear cutting is not something that I originally planned or originally thought about when I was first starting to play Minecraft. I mean, you think you need some wood to build stuff and do a few different things. Nothing too exciting in that vein. But once you get into it, you start to need a lot of wood for a lot of things. And it's really easy to clear cut. I mean, it takes time, but it's really easy to get yourself into the clear cutting mode. That's starting to despawn. That part's okay. Detach this, maybe? Make sure it's not touching anything else. Okay, so it's despawning, so we're okay. And this one's not, so we've got stuff in here. That. Disconnect. That should despawn. Let's get this part out of here. I love these big trees. They just... It's one of those ones that when you want them, you can never seem to get them to grow the way you want. But then when you don't want them, they're everywhere. It's easy to get into a zen and clear cutting, or it's easy to find that you just cleared a forest without planning to. Probably both. If you're intending to clear cut a forest, you can get into a good zen routine and just keep going. But when you're... it can go a little faster than you expected sometimes. Go, oh, okay, I cleared that much. 214 meters. Down roughly this way, so I need more to the left. But also, the clear cutting, yes, you can get into a routine where you just keep going. You need to make sure it's not connected. And a few times this is actually, by trying to rely on the despawn, it's actually kicked me a couple of times. Not often, but it'll start to rain or it'll, or just gets to be night or something and then doesn't despawn fast enough to prevent baddies from hanging out there during the day. Okay, that... How did I... Do this one. Okay, not quite so bad. That away. All right. But the other thing about clear cutting is sometimes when you want to clear cut, I know I've got a bit of a route that I'm looking for, but these trees are all connected. So I have to actually try and snap them apart, or it's never going to despawn. So that in itself is a bit of a project. I'm also losing track of where I was. Okay, coming down there, right through here. It's a lot easier when you get your first few trees out to see where you're going. But as with when we were cleaning out trees for the monastery on the other side, sometimes it also goes faster when you've got a buddy, and some of the people on this server are really fast when it comes to tree clearing. CJ Bot is one of the faster ones. Even with his cutting by hand, he's still a lot faster than I am. Okay, this one. I've got a bed with me, so I'm not going to worry about going back this time. There's no more dirt for me to pick up or anything like that anyways. But I do have to watch how dark it's getting around me. Heating helps. Yeah, exactly. Your project after next, you say, is to clear a space in a forest for a castle. Should be fun. Precisely that. Fun is all a matter of relative, right? The other thing I find is forests can be, no bad puns intended, forests can be murder when it comes to having too many creepers in your way. They just seem to come out of nowhere. Let's trim that one up. There. Okay, this is not despawning, so there's probably a block or two inside that I missed. Yep, there's one. Is that the key? Yep, that was the key. Or not. Should be. Okay. Keep seeing a creeper on the bottom corner going, don't bother me, but he could be below me. That's the other thing with this particular one. Zeros is not great with not showing you creepers and stuff that are below you. I will say Journey Map was better at that, but they didn't show them. They didn't show mobs all that much on the mini map. They just showed them on the big map, which that can be a bit of a challenge. It really shouldn't be a project to get to Frankwell by chopping trees, but it sounds like it's going to take a little more than I had originally anticipated. Just to make it look reasonable. And I mean, in truth, I wanted the path initially to be like at least 3 blocks wide everywhere, or 5 blocks wide, if I could, for the purposes of carts, but that's probably a bit of a realism factor that is more wishful thinking. Might as well take this one out. Oops. Everything? This one? Yeah. Alright, so we're making our way to Frankwell. We'll get there. What kind of castle? Yeah. Yeah. I'm so thankful right now that I'm not playing the Bedrock as part of our Bedrock server from the Dadcraft community. Simply because, or any of the Bedrock servers, frankly. because the lack of one-player sleep right now is not a game I want to play. It's bad enough as a solo player, remembering to sleep, but one of the things I liked about multiplayer is sometimes you'd have somebody who, depending on what they were doing, was almost willing to be an unofficial designated sleeper, I guess you could say. And they would do a lot of sleeping for the whole server, and we do find that that often happens on this server. I mean, you've seen it a few times where I'd be working on something, and JBT quite often will be our fine friend who comes in and just, I mean, he's doing other stuff, so it's not just because I'm here, but he happens to be on, he may be lurking, you know, all that kind of jazz, but he seems to be a great sleeper, which makes life so much easier. I don't mind being on the server by myself sometimes, but it's really nice to have people around. Or even know that something player created is changing on a regular basis. Okay. Oh. Really? No. You're kidding me. What kind of stupid generation cut is this? Ugh. Exactly. Having someone who's willing to do the sleeping from time to time helps a lot. But you know what? For the most part, I can kind of ignore this one, so I'm just going to steal enough of the dirt from these weird little bumps on this side to make it so we can actually get across reasonably. And then kind of ignore this thing's existence for now, because if I go filling up every little slot, we'd be here for centuries. That makes no sense. Try this one. There, okay, I can live with that. Right, because we're coming down from there, sort of down this way, and I should be pathing it as we go, but I don't really feel like doing that part until we've got a connection at the other end, and then we can path our way back. There we go. Alright, that's clear. Can't wait till one player sleep is fixed. Me too. And I know it sounds silly, but it's not just about, you know, me not wanting to play that game. It's also about looking forward to the end of the players and videos crying all around about that. I get it. I get that it's not fun. I get that we all want it to go away, and that the quote-unquote sleep game definitely messes with people's flow. I do get that, but there's a point at which it's been said, and so that's my that's my snarky whining and complaint for this stream. So whether you like Bedrock or Java better, in my grand scheme of things, is more or less immaterial. I don't really care. People can play what they want to play, but on the one-player sleep front, temporarily, I would say Java's better. But that's just because we've got this issue with the one-player sleep. Oh, bugger. I saw that. There's a creeper hanging around right over there. I don't really feel like getting blown up, thank you very much. Did you die? Please? Yes, excellent. Okay. I'm being that horrible person who's leaving like dilapidated partial trees all over the place. Okay, let's trim enough of this. It doesn't look incredibly bad. Pretty bad, but it's not incredibly bad. There's an event I didn't even notice because on one of the servers it was a conscious choice to not have it. Yeah. I thought I heard something. Somebody's getting me pretty good. We're almost at Franco because you can start to see the houses slowly spawning in. Okay, let's see if I can get down here without falling off. Okay, that tree's probably got to go because of the way that the bridging across that little piece is gone. Oh, it's the song. It's the song. Okay, not happening. Sorry, song. No, go away. It was a song on Stream Tunes called No Floss. I'm not going to speculate on what they were referring to. Maybe it's the flossing. I could be happy with no flossing. Yeah, I'll take that. It's a bit of a weird dance, anyways. It's another one of those things that is an age-related element. Whoa! That was the real deal. Come on. I got lucky, but still. I don't need holes like that. I mean, coordinated creeper explosions. Fine. Oh, there's another one up there. Every time I get down in the hole, he disappears a little bit, and then when I get higher, he's definitely there. It's up ahead, somewhere this way, I think. Ugh, you know what? I don't want that tree. I don't care if that tree's here. You can stay. Just don't float, okay? Thanks. Well, that was less than optimal. It is a bit weird when I'm wearing a Show Me Your Skin mod, which basically, you still have your armor on, but it doesn't look like it. Death of Macarena was definitely better. Okay, what do we got? Bye-bye song. Yeah. So Bob Green says, I'm out in the boonies a lot, marking out railway. It's the delay while folk get sorted that gives spawn time and mobs get time to you. Yeah, for sure. Mining sand in the desert's like that, for sure. Tiz says, sometimes I've just opted to sit in a tree and drink tea through the night. You know, it's funny. I used to do that whole sit in a tree thing. I really had no problem with it. It works well. But then I discovered that once in a blue moon, things will spawn on the trees. You know, that was not my ideal cup of tea. Especially when the things spawning in trees have 8 legs. Of course, now that it's raining, it doesn't matter. Please, will you despawn something? It's disconnected. What did I miss? Don't see any missing logs. Oh, I'm just about out of my diamond. Okay. Dirt. Ah. Chicken, you don't want to know how much of a heart attack you just gave me. What's this? Drop is 2. Okay, good. Drops at least 2. Things can't harass me as easily. Alright, okay, let's keep going. As big as it necessary. Not particularly, so let's skip it. This one, though. I'm always intrigued by how the game decides which batch of leaves things are attached to. Should be. Ah, whatever. Here now. Alright. That one, onward. Onward we go. I'll keep checking because there's another creeper under there. And the question is he going to come up and harass me? Okay, that's not connected. This one's not connected. We're connected through here. Do I want that one? No. Okay. Being optimistic, I think. The number of trees I have to cut. It's like a self-made path going almost the right way. Self-made, I mean naturally generated? Yeah, that's better. Okay. Aha. Let's take this one. Remember the days when Minecraft trees used to generate all the same? And what I mean by that is, depending on the species of the tree, you could actually almost start sort of getting a counting rhythm in the back of your head. And it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yep, there's the next oak. 1, 2, you know, like just keep going that same way. And it doesn't work like that anymore, but it's still, I get myself counting and I'm just like, wait a minute, this tree's taller. What the heck? And yeah, because it doesn't do that anymore. Alright, this one. Checking. We're going to the right place. Slowly, but maybe. One left. I mean, that's one way to get yourself a good amount of birch and oak, is just to keep on cutting. Okay, I can almost see it, so there's a tree in the way. Which one is it? These two. Alright. You know, it's one of those things I just realized is now kind of a dumb idea, but might be sort of fun at some point, is to do a Wizard of Oz themed place and then have a version of the Emerald City and just quite literally build it out of emerald blocks. But the problem is you can't make anything more than blocks out of the emerald blocks. So that doesn't work as well as it sounds, because then you end up with a very square city. You Even once we get all the way through to Frankwell, not only is there pathing to come back, but just cleaning it up to make sure that the road looks wide enough. I think I'm drifting to the right a little bit. Maybe not too bad. At least I also answered my question. I didn't have to get anywhere near the lava, which is nice. So I'm drifting left, actually. Oh well, it'll do. Seen the Emerald City done before, they used all the green blocks, including kelp. Ooh! Now that's a cool idea. So in other words, not letting the name of the city dictate the building material. Very good idea. Are there green blocks we could actually make like slabs and stairs out of? I mean, I suppose if you let your imagination run a little wild and use some of the copper blocks, you could probably get green-ish out of it. And some of the prismarines and stuff might work. But they're not true green. It's not like we could make cactus stairs. That'd be kind of cool. Weird, but cool. I can't see you, stupid tree. Come on. This one, there. Headed in the right direction, more or less. So this bit could probably be trimmed flat, I guess. Hee. Actually, it might be sort of fun to go the other way around. And rather than doing a representation of the Emerald City, I think it might be kind of fun to do up the Munchkins' houses from the beginning of the book series. That might be kind of cool. And I mean, if you didn't mind doing slightly oversized statues, you could do characters from the books. So like you could actually use, say, iron and come up with a Tin Man. Might be kind of a fun one. One of the things that people overseas had trouble understanding about my streaming is that that I enjoy the build part of it. My father-in-law kept asking, "Well, what's the point of the game? What do you do? You're supposed to battle? Like, how do you progress?" He didn't understand necessarily that I enjoy it as a building game. That just didn't seem to quite compute for him. Which I find interesting because he likes Flight Simulator. And I say, well, why do you like that game? Like, what is it about that one? And he goes, oh, well, you can do all these things. You spend your hours flying from point A to point B. It's like, well, but what's the point? How do you progress? He says, well, you don't. Are you running and managing an airline? Do you have goals? No, you just fly. This isn't a simulator game, but I like to treat Minecraft sort of the same way quite a lot of the time. And it just seems weird to think that the concept didn't translate across. But it wasn't even a matter of Irishness or not Irishness or something. He just lives there. He's actually Canadian, so I mean, there's nothing lost in translation in that sense. That's actually one of the funny things about Ireland is their signage and everything is required to be in 2 languages in most cases. It's not just for tourism purposes. I mean, they take English as a class in school. Not everybody is fully fluent in both languages. There's still quite a lot of just Irish. But the resulting effect of the whole thing was that my kids and I actually did not get much in the way of Irish words when we were over there. So for example, there's very commonly in the gift shops, there's a gift line or a gift store line that does, it basically translates out to gifts with love, but I have no idea how to pronounce that word, nor even how to draw it or write it correctly. So, just one of those things that I might do differently on a subsequent trip. I say, look, I'd like to learn a little more. Or do, I mean, parts of that whole island collection with multiple countries and stuff, have such an amazing history and culture shift over time, influences from all over the place, that I could easily go there repeatedly and probably not get bored. But unfortunately, for a whole host of reasons, it's not somewhere that I could actually permanently live. I have crazy politicians, and we're not going to get into political conversations, but I have crazy politicians here that I'm not too fond of, and, you know, environmental factors I'm not too fond of, and such. But, it's still home. Fantastic Shock Fox has, for military reasons, been around the world, not around the world, but has been in other places in the world. And even he agrees with me that we probably wouldn't end up actually moving over there. Just too much. Too many reasons not to. Oh. Really? Come on. Okay, this one. Can I break it up right through the middle? Oh, right. Yeah, how does the old phrase go? Great place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there? Hikari GM says, I started a diorama build once where the Emerald City, among other fictitious lands, were being pulled into a black sphere eating up reality. Ooh. Never finished it. Aw, but that's still a really neat concept. I'd love to see something like that at some point. I actually generally like the diorama concepts as a whole. People do a really good job with those. Some of the dioramas can be incredibly immersive. Okay, we're almost there. I can smell it. Not quite. Not all. Really? There. Close enough. So safetyifying the route from Frankwell to Shrewsbury is going to be a whole nother project for a whole nother time. But definitely something that should probably be done somewhere along the line. No. Somewhere in here. Aha, there it is. You're the only blocker. Yep. Alright, where are we going? This way? Oops. Do I be bullheaded about going straight through, or do I want to just go wriggly and go around? Now you're not attached. Go away. Huh. this one, that one. Yep. Okay. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. 5 minutes to the hour already? Really? Wow. Okay, so I can see that one. Home safe, now to do paperwork. Ooh. Was there a lot of paperwork requiring jobs today? Some people have very, very busy days. Last part I finished was an end ship crashed into the ground and left upturned earth and fires in its path. Ah! So it's almost like the end ship crashed and then the whole thing became like a big black hole as a result. Huh. Neat concept. Okay, so this is where that hole is. It's just... I got 36 now. That was not what I was going for, but it worked. There we go. And then we can come straight through here, and it looks like we should be almost in the clear. Almost in the clear. And I am probably going to lose my... Oh, that's okay. With an iron farm and plenty of iron armors at the moment, if I manage to make it... Oh, no, I'm not going to touch it with the hoe anymore. I was going to say, if I manage to make it, this hoe, I'm going to put it away so I don't get tempted. If I manage to make it back with the hoe, then I can probably get it prepared. Okay. Oh. Huh. Okay. Well, that's less than optimal. If sneaking around the outside of these guys is not a thing. I already spent 45 minutes this morning writing a $30,000 estimate on a Benz. Ooh. Ouch. That's a tough bill. Any idea what they did? And considering the estimate that high makes me wonder not only what happened, but also yeah, let's see. That would happen, but it sounds like it was pretty rough to only spend 45 minutes. Ooh. No, I'm going to try and wrap at the top of the hour, Fox. I didn't intend to go quite this long. I actually was going to go just to the half because I started late by half, but got close to the top of the hour and went, oh, well, might as well. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Birdblue, for their sake, actually, because that's one of those ones, you know, it's one thing if you've got stupidity when driving, as in, you know, poor judgment, made a mistake, whatever, or even bad judgment by another driver or something like that. But when it's a health issue, I usually feel bad for the drivers regardless of what kind of vehicle they're driving, or whatever their personal other circumstances may be, just because that's one of those things you really can't prevent or plan against, because if one was trying to avoid every possible eventuality resulting from an issue that could give you seizures, then there's a lot of life people would never be able to actually partake in. Sounds like a very, very busy job, though, to be doing all those estimations. Oh. Yeah, I would agree, Fox, that Bird Blue's probably seen some pretty crazy things in his time. And probably a few of them that every once in a while where he's probably asking himself, how did you manage that? There was one I saw once, I can't remember which famous person it was, but they, the picture I saw once where the person had managed to wrap a McLaren F1 around a light standard, and yet, like, when you see the pictures, it looked like they had quite literally softened up the vehicle and physically wrapped it around the pole like a burrito. But you're going, no. I mean, it's definitely one of that was a high rate of speed type of accident. That was very, very clear. But how smoothly it got wrapped around was just weird. That's those, like, you know, 1 in a million type of angles. I drive, but I don't drive as much as Fantastic Sherlock Fox, just because when we're together he does the driving. It's convenient for us that it's worked out that way. I'm not exactly the world's... Well, I'm not exactly the world's best driver, but there are too many in our family that make pretty rough passengers. And I've had my fair share of silly little inattentive accidents. I've had my fair share of sun blindings. We've been T-boned once, you know, like, just the sort of stuff you don't really want to be involved in ever anyways. Is this going to despawn? Oh, nope, not. So, the weird one though is when we got T-boned, I shouldn't say weird, but one of my oddest experiences was when we got T-boned from the side, thank heavens for side impact beams. Fantastic Sherlock Fox was driving, and we were doing our, you know, darndest usual to get out of the way, etc. But I just remember a really weird feeling in my stomach. I couldn't, at the time, figure out exactly what it was till after. And it's that Fox, being the awesome caring individual he is, as he was driving, he's used to standard. So even though it was an automatic vehicle that he was driving, that having your because we drive on the left side of the road, having your right hand free to do shifting and stuff means that you're fairly practiced at not necessarily needing to have your right hand on the wheel at all times and still stay in control. And so the weird feeling in my stomach that time was actually him reaching out his arm to block me from getting, I don't know, slid forward or something. So it was one of those, like, semi-instinctive things. You just reach out. And I will remember that part forever, because it was sort of a weird thing you don't expect to have happen. But yeah, we broke both axles and had to climb out the sunroof to actually get out of the vehicle. Because we got pushed clean through from the right-hand side of the road to across the oncoming traffic on the left-hand side of the road straight into the guardrail. And but didn't manage to collide with anybody during that transition, so we're very, very thankful for that. And that was before I had kids, and my kids are now, you know, reaching their middle school years. Or not that far from it. So, I mean, we did pretty well. You're not that great of a driver either? But one of my weird ones, when I was quite a bit younger, was through inattentiveness. I was driving my parents' vehicle, and we were going through a school zone, like a playground zone, and so I was looking both ways, watching for the kids, and didn't notice that a big sort of boat of a car had stopped in front of me. And so I tail-ended the car. But it wasn't actually that bad of a bump. Like, we didn't end up doing any damage to the vehicle itself, either mine or theirs, from that. What actually happened was I got hung up on their tow hitch from a big old, like, boat-style sedan, and you wouldn't normally expect them to even have a tow hitch. So that was not a great experience, but we were trying to figure out how to get this thing undone. And turned out that it happened, I kid you not, like literally right in front of an auto body shop. So this big burly guy from the auto shop comes out and he just gets up in between the two cars and he just starts jumping up and down on the hitch. And so the idea was that as he started to get a rhythm going so that the hitch on the vehicle in front was dropping low enough, then I was able to back my car and reverse off of it. And the funny part was the only thing we did was dent the license plate on my car, and I think we cracked the plastic surround on the license plate for my car. Not a scratch on his. Since I was driving a Saturn, which is mostly plastic anyways, not a noticeable scratch on the vehicle I was driving anyway. That's probably one of the weirder little dust-ups I've been in. So, yeah. And I remember the guy being muscular, but I don't remember him being cute, because I've never really been the type of person that was really into noticing guys as, you know, the young people who are, there's a stereotype that young girls, if we were in accidents or whatever, it must have been because we saw somebody hot on the side of the road. That's never really been my thing, before or after marriage. But I was looking for the kids at the playground, making sure they weren't just going to run out, and didn't notice the guy in front of me with his hitch had stopped. I don't know what he stopped for, because it wasn't a kid, so whatever. That was a long time ago. I miss Saturn vehicles, actually. The company doesn't really, the company doesn't exist anymore. I've had weird things from, actually, yeah, maybe that Saturn vehicle, it was just cursed when I drove it. But I've had weird things from the Saturn vehicles in terms of, sometimes odd things happening to them mechanically. Like I had the alternator go, and that was the only time I've had an alternator go that I'm aware of. Might have had it once in a Mazda. And then I've had odd accidents, like the Saturn was a magnet. I had a large crescent wrench come off of a bridge, as in like they were doing construction on the bridge over me, and it hit the roof of the vehicle. I've had the hitch thing. And yeah, I think that's probably it. Oh no, and the other one was I had a hubcap came off somebody's vehicle, like a frisbee, and hit the side of my door. So I mean, while I miss the Saturns in one sense, I actually miss the fact that they had a lot of plastic paneling on them, so that one didn't necessarily have to worry a whole lot if you had somebody bump their car door into you or something. While I miss it in that sense, it was kind of odd that a navy colored vehicle, went white when I got hit with the wrench.
Hello.
Hey B Silverbee, I did not mean to go overtime like this. Pure accident. I mean, I'm very, very glad to see you. I missed every one of you, but I totally did not mean to go over like this. I got into my story and into that shopping and didn't think. That fits the story really well. Definitely didn't think. Anyway, and so I'm trying to get 60 meters, but I think what I'll do is I'll go over here and log out in the village so that we don't get totally and utterly destroyed. And then we can work a little bit on coming back the other way maybe later this afternoon. That's probably a better idea. Or, this evening for most of you fine people. And I can actually have a respawn point just in case the creepers do blow me up this time around. Right. Hey, there are villagers here. Woohoo! Alrighty. So, long story. Ooh, where am I? There I am. Well, that's less than optimal. Having lava right through your village. Okay. Actually, maybe I should just fly home. That'll make life easier. So we got the wall sort of finished up. This part looks really weird, but needs the gate done. We made a lot of progress on that. And that's pretty much all we did this time. But it feels very good to be home, to be back. Oh, yeah, and we got the gate done over here. That's what. We got the grate put in. There. So we got that grate put in, too. So we've got some definite stuff done. A lot of creatures can stay out now. And we just need the gate from Frankwell, which is what we were working on over here. And yeah, then we're into building the village. So, I just got bumped by something? Anyway. So I'm going to call it a day for this particular stream. And we will be back. Let's see if this one actually works. No, there we go. So this is in Mountain Time. Next stream will be supposed to be at 7 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, that will be probably working a little bit more on the trees thing, just because I'm kind of on a roll now. The gate design for the gap left will be saved until the weekend for the Dadcraft73 stream weekend coming up on Saturday and Sunday, and I'm only doing Saturday this round. So I've got a 3-hour stream starting at, oh geez, 6 Eastern, I think? Yeah, 6 Eastern. It's not my usual time slot, but that's fine, works. And we will be seeing you guys later this evening. So, 7 Eastern tonight, and then we're back for the rest of the week as usual. And yeah, hopefully there'll be some more stories, and I'll be able to tell you stuff from Ireland. Thank you very much for coming in, especially those I haven't been able to see from the times when I just visited. And so thank you all. Now let's see who we can actually head out to. Who's online? Given the number of people that were online of bigger names than me, I'm actually quite surprised I had as many as I did. So it's always a good feeling. Okay, well, let's go back to Ricky Roy is playing on Rocktropolis. Yeah, I think that's probably our best. He's been out for an hour 15. Let's spread the love. I like Ricky Roy. He's awesome. If you guys want to go follow him, go see him, go for it. Otherwise, I'm actually going to head over to Gutty. Gutty says, big plans, TSMP, don't know what that means. Come say hi and chat, but I don't know what he's doing. Big plans. So we're going to head over there, and we're going to say hi to Gutty. So thank you very much, yeah, very much everybody for coming by. And let's see if we can get this raid started. This one. Start raid.
Miscliff managed.
Yay! Alright. So you'll see the raid messages come up there. I will be having a new Hype Sheep emote coming in before this evening's stream. So feel free to enjoy the one that's there as long as you can. So have a great time. Bye-bye, everybody. You were wonderful. Thank you very much for the Clue Spender, Springer, and Fantastic Sherlock Fox, as well as Fox, Benson, and Tis for Truth being our moderators today. Also, thank you to Poodle Pirate, Bobreen, Springer, Shadow, B Silver B, JF Bird Blue, and Big Harry GM for dropping by and chatting with us. It's been great to see you guys. I'd missed you all, and it's good to be back. See you again soon. Bye-bye for now.